Most people would not sign what our landlady gave us, but we don't really have a choice. She removed things, but what choice do we have? She removed things about the condition of the place when we moved in. She removed basically all the things that we agreed to, like, well, here, the dishwasher, the washer, the dryer. Half the things that we agreed to that, we're paying to be able to use while also living with, hold on, her crap. Just to be clear, that is hers. That's the recycling box that we put stuff in because we don't have enough space in here. Under the fridge, her stuff. This box of stuff right here with like the toys and stuff on top, that's hers. Furniture in here, we can't bring our own. She said that she would have it gone within the first couple weeks. It's still here. It's been 3 months. Chris, why don't you go play in your room for a little bit?
Alright. I gotta give me some water because some food I'm away. Love you.
I love you too, Chris. I don't want him out here listening to me because I'm venting. Maggie, I need you to get down. Yes, sweetheart. Off my walker. Maggie has been treating my walker like his personal I don't have to walk. But I need it because I need both my hands, so it's good for that, and also whenever I can't lean on it anymore. But you reach a point like that. Anyway, this lady has been verbally and mentally abusive almost exclusively to me because of her attempts at love bombing Kiddo and better half. I mean, at first, whenever it was to all of us, it was easy to assume, that she was just being a nice person. But, you know what should have set us off? All the warning bells? Hindsight is 2020. She advertised what a great person she thought she was. I'm such a great person. I should stop being kind to people. I keep on getting screwed. All my renters leave without a word. I wonder why. I'm just saying. So anytime anybody does this, landlord not, romantic not, run. We didn't really have another option. We were just glad to find a place before we would end up having to go to a shelter or something. So we didn't think. We were in survival mode. We shoulda, coulda, woulda, but shelters can be even worse. You're dealing with this kind of person, but on a larger scale and less predictably. She was talking about how, she works 48 plus hours. This lady isn't even gone 20 hours a week. I would be surprised if she was even working a part-time job. It would not surprise me if people raided this house and found that she was doing drugs or something, or peddling drugs. Because she's not even gone 20 hours a week. And then she's up. Like last night, just hearing her randomly cackle after she had already been messaged with all the information of what was wrong with the agreement. I even put in there that if we're signing this, we're signing it under duress, and we are, because she threatened us. But we have no options. We've tried to get them, we've applied for places. We have no way out. We have no other path. And while Gene and I, while it would still be hard if we were homeless, you can't do it with an 11-year-old. So the best we can do is protect him as best as we can And when we find a place that'll take us, leave and deal with the consequences after. Just, or hope that legal aid is more assistance than it was and actually kind of keeps up, because I mean, we would still have to break the lease. At this point, it's, I mean, there's a whole backyard, but we can't use it. Oh, let me see if I can get this. There's a bunch of cars out there. They never get moved. There's furniture. There's a derelict trailer. There's another trailer in the driveway. Like, at one point, there were obviously kids here. But, like, there's this, and, like, there's appliances, furniture, cars, all sorts of stuff out there. We can't let him out there. That's not safe for kids to play out there. And, like, she told us that whenever the snow melted, she would start clearing things up. Hasn't happened. Not a single move to do so. But at this point, after being lied to multiple times about getting the furniture down here so that we could actually have our own and not have to make the choice of what we can keep or have to get rid of, to even manage to get a storage unit and what we would have to prioritize, like, we've already lost most of our stuff to begin with, and now we're losing more of it because, and we're just kind of living on top of her stuff at this point. I need to put that drawer back, and that needs to go back on top of the microwave, but at desk, that's not ours. She said that we could use it. That's the condition of everything down here. Oh, you can use it. It's not yours, but you can use it. Put your stuff in those drawers, you know, that sort of thing. That's not in the agreement either, which means at any point in time, she reserves the right to just yoink the stuff. She still needs to give us 24-hour notice, but I've already had a dish go missing that wasn't hers. So, if I had my way, I would be on a Greyhound to the other side of the country to get away from this bitch. Every single time I have set a boundary with her, she turns around and she tries to come between me and Gene. She tells him that I yelled at her and all this stuff. The thing of it is that I record our interactions. And I screenshot all the texts. And I also screenshot communications in the app. Because we met through Nextdoor. That's actually how she contacted me whenever I posted about how much we could pay max. And naturally, this place, even with all the damage, was exactly our maximum. Let's see. That hole is a lot bigger than it looks right here. It is a sizable hole in the ceiling, in the shower. If there's not mold in there, I would be surprised. Oh yes, there are also a bunch of other things that are smaller. Some things I could fix and some things I couldn't. But I've already told her without a written agreement that she would be taking the cost of fixing it off of the rent. I'm not touching it. She already got us in here without any sort of compensation for just cleaning the place afterwards because we were so desperate. Because she didn't clean it. But there were things in here that you would have not just needed a normal maid for. You would have needed someone with a biohazard suit. And it was just sort of almost like, it was like she had vacuumed in here, like minorly, and just decided that was enough. But like, there was human feces under the couch. Ew. And like, we didn't know that ahead of time. It was not divulged. It was just supposed to be normal stuff. Like, you know, someone didn't wipe down the bathtub type stuff. Biohazard is a whole other thing. So like, I'm not doing any more free labor for this bitch. I will clean because we live in this space. But as far as fixing anything, like, first time I told her that something was broken, like, I just mentioned it, you know, that it broke a little bit more because it was already kind of busted in the first place, but it was usable. It's still usable. Now she just wants to be able to punish us for using it, which is why she doesn't have it on there. I'm assuming that she also plans on punishing us by taking stuff from down here at some point. That, like, she said, oh, you can just put your stuff in storage or just get rid of your stuff, because it gives her a certain power dynamic. Because obviously I'm gonna walk her and I'm the one responsible for cleaning and stuff. Obviously I can't move this stuff. So it's not like I can take her stuff out and throw it out. Because let me tell you something about cleaning an apartment. Part of cleaning an apartment and readying it for move-in is removing the furniture. And if a place truly has furniture included and it is furnished, you put the furniture on the lease. Whenever I mentioned trying to get a lawyer to look at it, or having a lawyer look at it, she made a very clearly threatening comment. It would be a shame if you didn't sign it and had to find someplace else to live. She strung us along for 3 months, refusing to do a written agreement at first. She promised one, and then whenever I kept on bringing it up, because I'm the one that handles the administrative, more mental tasks of home, like that, it's not like I was bringing it up 5 times in a day either. It's more like once every other day. I'm like, hey, how's that going, sort of thing, you know. She lost her fucking mind, told me that I was not a real tenant, that my family were tenants, but I wasn't, and that I could leave if I didn't like it. And then just would not even talk about anything after that. She will not read my text messages. I actually have to send her something, just for record that I said it to her. Then I have to screenshot it and send it to Gene. And he has to send it to her, because she will not read anything from me. She is unprofessional. She is petty. And I don't mean that in the haha, revenge on someone who's a terrible person type of petty either. I mean, she's an abuser. This is her way. I mean, it feels like Kiddo she views him as a stand-in for her grandkids and me as a stand-in for her daughters. You know, it kind of feels like I should say this, but, ever wonder why your adult children don't talk to you? This sort of behavior is why. So, in her view, because Gene is paying the rent, I'm just living here rent-free, even though I'm doing the tasks, and that's literally what a stay-at-home person is. Yeah. Like right now, I'm working on some breakfast burritos. Making that ahead. And then I have to do some more laundry by hand. Oh yes, and dishes from breakfast. But I guess she just sort of thinks that I just sit down here because apparently that's what she does. Whenever she's home, she just takes care of her animals and doesn't do shit. She's certainly not doing shit as a landlord. She actually tried to put something in there that said that she didn't. It seemed to imply that she wasn't going to fix anything, like, in the lease, without explicitly saying it. She's also, I should have never advised her that pet deposits were not allowed for ESA. And she just worded it as something else. But we thought that we were dealing with somebody that just didn't know better and was just trying to do a small deposit. And every place that had a more reasonable deposit like that wanted 3 times rent. And we can't make that. We are already paying half income, for, like, give or take. And on months where they short his check and don't fix it, that it's half. It's more than half sometimes. And she already made a comment. At first, she said, the one that we were doing, she said that she wanted it for a year. That was the one that she gave us carte blanche to actually write on. This one, she replaced everything that we wrote, and took things off about the condition of the place. I assume she's going to try what she did with the dishwasher, where she later tried to... She started off implying that she acted like I was a crazy person, whenever I pointed that out. The gaslighting. And now she's just outright saying, oh, it wasn't broken at all whenever you guys moved in. The only thing that happened after we moved in was a screw fell out, or we noticed the screw was missing. I should say the screw was already out. We noticed that it was missing because the front piece kind of partially came off. The thing is that whenever you don't fix these things, they get worse. The thing on the inside, where the thing that kind of stops it from going all the way down and touching the floor, wasn't right. That was apparent whenever she opened it. Whenever we were doing our walkthrough, and she was like, just stick something there and it'll be fine, sort of thing. Which is what we did. Because we were just happy to not end up homeless. And she is continuously using that to be abusive and to force agreements we don't actually want to sign. This is, I guess, for the record out there, that we are not signing this of our own free will. We are signing this under duress because we don't have any options, and she's forcing an agreement that is entirely one-sided, and even seems to imply that she has no actual responsibilities as a landlord. If you know the things that she has said, she is smart enough not to put it blatantly in the lease. But I feel a bit like I helped her be smarter about this, because I was mentioning things in the beginning because I thought that we were just dealing with a private landlord that, doesn't know very much. And we have rented for pretty much all of our lives. So there are things that we have had to know. And we're like, okay, well, a written agreement protects both parties. The thing of it is that she's, like many landlords, she's only thinking about the way that it protects her. And unlike in Arizona, the landlord-tenant stuff here seems to actually get down to business whenever stuff happens. The thing is, that only works if you have a place to go. Apparently, enforcement here is not real big on making landlords fix things. There is a whole host of problems here, as far as accessibility. I cannot get out without help. There is no way for me to get out without help, and somebody actually has to pull me so that I don't get stuck. Because naturally the path out is either mud, grass, or snow. Jean spent 2 hours at some point, and then she parked yet another car. By the way, she has 2 cars in her driveway. And a trailer. So All of it's hers. She told us that her kids had parked their cars back there. People did come at some point saying that they were here to buy the cars, but they couldn't get anything out without her moving that trailer, and she just never moved it. She claimed that they were her ex-husband and her kids, and they were lying to us about who they were. But I have my doubts, mostly because I can't confirm it, and she's lied to us so much. This agreement leaves out the dishwasher, it leaves out everything, which just means at some point she's planning on just, after having made us get rid of our furniture, because there's no way that we could store everything. Like, we've lost most of our furniture in the first place. We cannot, and we can't easily replace it either, especially paying half income for rent. And when we first moved in, there was an offhanded comment, that if we fixed stuff, she would just take the cost off rent. And that's why I'm like, I am not touching anything without a written agreement about this. Because while this would be something to fight about in court, I want a concrete way to say this was promise. Because during that interaction, the camera kind of cut out. Or actually, I can't even find the recording. I'm trying to think of something to say that if she can't, screw it, I'll just be honest. I lost the recording for that. It happens sometimes, and sometimes things don't save because technology. So I'm just like, I need a written agreement for that. I need it dated, signed, because I'm not going with verbal agreements with this person who just would take it and take it for free. Apparently she's done this to her kid too, by the way. So this basement was actually done by her kids. Specifically, one of her daughters was living down here with her kids. Now, considering how absolutely unhinged she's been with Chris, like trying to gain access to him at 3 a.m., wanting him to sleep on the couch, presumably so that she had access to him, because she refuses to lock the door to the upstairs, so we've got kitty litter in front of it. Just to make it so that she just can't independently come down here. She also put in the lease she doesn't want us installing any locks. Kind of shows you that, like, she knows exactly what she's doing. This is not the actions of someone who is ignorant. These are the actions of someone who knows what she's doing. And she just is offended by basic boundaries. So this lady has yelled at me for calling Kiddo into an area. Like, before we knew that the yard was that back, we just saw that there were some cars back there. And then after those people were over here and they emptied some things out of the storage shed and she just never completely put things back, we just thought that, it was that and the cars. We didn't know about the other stuff. I didn't, anyway. Because I didn't even get in here in the first place through the back door. Got in through the front. Because it was snow and shoveled to the front door, but not to the back. And I'm on a walker. And even the most insane person would not expect me to go through that. But she's pretty unhinged about a lot of other things. Claims to forget, acts like she's just, oh, oopsies. That sort of thing. But it has a pattern. And there are enough things that she's aware of it. But it's one of those things where I am sure that on a social level, she has at least some people convinced that she doesn't. The thing is, I feel sorry for her kids that had to grow up with this shit. Apparently, both of her kids, she's complained they don't talk to her. But she can't even say a nice thing about one of them. And the other one, you know, it's just, no, I shouldn't say that. She hasn't said a damn nice thing about either one of them. The one that I was gonna say, oh yeah, that might have been nice. No, it was backhanded as hell. It was one of those weird ones. It's like framed as if it's supposed to be nice, but it's a criticism. Saying, oh, this one is nice, but spoiled by her dad, used to getting whatever she wants, likes everything pink, and everything else is just said as a complaint. It's like, here's a compliment. A very subjective compliment. Coupled, and then after all of this, you follow it up by saying that she's mean because she doesn't talk to you. Pick one. And then the other one, oh, she's using the kids as a weapon. She's basically saying all the things that my grandmother, on my mom's side, said about my mom, when all my mom was doing was keeping us away from her emotional manipulation. And also using us kids to spy on our mom. Yeah, that happened. There was also, like, there was all sorts of stuff. And that's just, my mom only knew about the spying and emotional manipulation, and that was all she needed to know. She was using us to control our mom. And mom said, no, this is abuse, you can't do this to my kids. Unfortunately, she never buckled down and said, you can't do this to me. She just said, you can't do this to my kids. She also still has some of her daughter's stuff here after her daughter came to come get some of her stuff with the kids. And she blatantly is not ever planning on giving it back. She, like, said that right in front of us, that she was just gonna steal it. And sell the shoes and the purses. I am tired. This bitch's shit takes up too much space. We would have an easier time integrating into a normal one-bedroom. Using the living room as a bedroom like we originally planned. In fact, we were very open that that was our plan. But once we were moved in, that's when she told us that that would be a problem. Because she didn't want to move the bed that's in the bedroom, but she also didn't want Chris to use it. So we set up his bed in a separate part of the bedroom. It is really cramped in there, though. And we managed to convert his bunk bed into a loft bed to kind of give him an area. And eventually, if things don't go belly up, we will get a curtain rod. For now, though, his dad and I are sleeping out here because we don't trust that she won't break in while we're asleep. I mean, she's already tried it. I was watching something softly, and it was something that she probably assumed it was Chris. And she tried to get in here. It was not Valentine's Day either, nor is this appropriate even on Valentine's Day for an unrelated adult with not even talking to the parents first or anything. You don't even know if the kid has any allergies. Nothing. Like, you have verified nothing. And you have made everyone uncomfortable. And this is after Kiddo stopped talking to her because he told her to stop yelling at me. And she continued and even said, that is not your mom. That is a glorified babysitter.
this bitch thinks I'm his biological mom, which makes it worse because we haven't specified, like, how complicated the situation is. It's none of her fucking business. Now she finds out because she overhears, because she's freaking nosy. That's another matter, but you still should never say that to anybody. Like, that's not appropriate, especially when I'm not saying that. He's saying that. He is saying, don't mess with my mom. And she is saying, that's not your mom, and that is her explanation for why she thinks that what she's doing is perfectly acceptable. I am just an accessory. And the thing of it is that it is pretty obvious, trying to, like, rip me and Jean apart and come between us, that she is probably interested in Jean. Like, the way that she goes about it reminds me of those catty girls in high school that steal each other's boyfriends. It is really bad. And I'm just like, I told Jean, like, this reminds me of what Becky did, what she tried to do. And I'm going to do the same thing now that I did then. Absolute transparency. Which is how we handled that too, because I didn't even want to leave a shred of anything between us. Like, absolute transparency. Meanwhile, Kiddo is repeating, I'm pretty sure he's repeating it. This is why you have no friends, sort of stuff. I do actually have friends. Real friends. Not just people who see me as a project. Or someone to feel sorry for. However, I don't have a lot. And most of them are struggling themselves. Like, one friend, she has her brother living with her. And after her brother leaves, her daughter's moving in with her baby. I mean, you can have friends and just not use them as resources and not expect that they will bend over backwards if they don't have the resources. I was a stupid person who thought that the friends that helped us out here were real friends. But it turns out that she doesn't like me, is two-faced, gossips behind my back, and a bunch of other stuff. So also, I am the scapegoat whenever her husband loses his mind. So all the things that her husband does, I get accused of. Because it's easy whenever somebody is trapped in your fucking basement to just, and can't get out and get to know people that are in the area, for you to just shit talk them. And whenever called out for this, she did not apologize for doing it. She apologized for doing it to someone we both knew in a situation where I could possibly overhear it. That's not an apology. that's an apology for getting caught. And I haven't forgotten that. They have continued to be nice to us in a certain way, but in the same way where it is more for better half and Kiddo, which I will accept because we are in no position to refuse. But it's kind of like made custom hats for everybody, but gave me the one that didn't fit her husband and irritates my migraines. It squeezes too tight. I can't wear it. I actually had to give it to Kiddo. So I don't have a hat for cold weather. It was just one of those things. And at the time, I thought nothing of it because I just sort of accept it. But the fact that I just accept what I'm given by default is, and just make the best of it, it's basically being weaponized in that situation. But you can tell a lot about how much people regard you and your worth as a person based on what they do in those situations, especially with handmade gifts. Like, do you give someone something that took you days on end to make, that they like, that fits them, or that just reminds them of you? Or do you just add embellishments on something that didn't fit your husband and isn't meant for an adult head, just because you want to get rid of it? And this person will just accept it to be polite because they don't want to be ungrateful. There's a difference. Like, you can, like, save something that you've made and you're like, oh, that fits you perfectly. You know, you should have it. That's different. But whenever you're doing what happened here, it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. There's nothing you can do about it, and there's no point in whining about it. I'm just using it as an example. If someone is treating you differently than your family or the other people around you, they don't hold you in the same regard. And this is really interesting, considering we were in the situation that we were in because of something Jean did, and because of something our ex-landlord did before we came to Utah. I didn't do shit. But acknowledging that is forbidden. I actually got yelled at for still having feelings about it. The only one who didn't yell at me for that is Gene, who has feelings about it and knows that he fucked up. And whenever anything goes wrong now, he still goes back to it and apologizes for it, and I'm like, that does not make this your fault. Like, one thing does not transfer to the other. Yes, we wouldn't necessarily be in this situation, but at this point, we still could have. And, you know, there's only a certain extent that you can say things are like that. So I'm over here both dealing with my emotions and everyone else's. And also, being the disabled person, it's really easy for people to turn a disabled person into a scapegoat. And I'm tired. I actually had like half a day where I was considering, since I can't physically leave on my own, the only way I would be able to get away from our landlady whenever she, you know, and her stupid crap, and a certain hotline was useless. I tried to do text because I couldn't talk, you know, in front of little ears, and it was useless. It wants you to agree to extra things that you don't agree to whenever you just talk on the phone. And because I said no to that, it just went in a loop, so I couldn't even get a hold of anybody. If I had been in any other kind of situation, mentally, any other kind, I mean, this could have directly led to not getting help, not talking to somebody just to talk you through it. That's all I needed. That's all I was looking for. And I didn't get it. I pulled through, but other people, not everybody does. And to be fair, I am literally dealing with a full-ass grown adult who's abusive. And I am in a situation physically where I have no way out. And if the people around me decide that it is easier for them to do something instead of helping me get out to do it for myself, well, guess what? I'm just stuck here. I have no power in that situation. It makes me the easiest target for someone like this. And what you have to understand is that abusers, yes, you can be in a situation and be disabled and not be abused. Here's the problem. The people that are prone to doing that, or who just feel like they need a punching bag of some sort, you are the perfect punching bag. And it happens so much that if you like publicly talk about most of it, a lot of it that goes on, you will get labeled the problem. And the way that this bitch does hers, if I start shouting out loud, this bitch has one of the most, oh, everyone is great social media pages ever. If I were to try and like publicly talk about what she has done on social media, I would be punished for this. There would be people out there that would punish me for this. Because they would assume that I am lying because her social media looks like a freaking rainbow party. Like, not without the rainbows. It's probably an outdated way of saying it's overly positive. It's one of those things, you know, those live, laugh, love type pages, but without the actual words themselves. Same vibes. Very, oh, this person helped me with this. Like, she doesn't put the negative stuff on there. So, people with their social medias, there are people out there that are dumb enough to assume that that's all there is. And one of the things that I found is the people who are the most positive on social media are often the most negative and toxic people to actually be around. Because they put all of their positivity on social media. And me, I'm weird. I am the opposite of what people assume. Because I am who I am, whether it is on social media or in person. It doesn't change. Not everybody handles that well. Especially since whenever somebody starts projecting on me, I will tell them, nope, I will correct it. A lot of the time I am very quiet, and then there are times that I'm not, and I will talk your fucking ear off. It depends on what kind of day it is. A lot of the time though, I save a lot. If I know I have a social thing coming up, I will save my social energy and hope that it's enough. I mean, Gene and I have hours we just sit in silence next to each other. Even Kiddo and I will just read next to each other. Like, you can have silence with people and be content with it, but the thing is, I am more secure in the silence and in it not being twisted to mean something else with people I have close bonds with, and experience and trust. Knowing that they're not gonna think, something weird about it. Because of the way that I grew up, it is literally a trauma response whenever I start talking half the time. In of itself. I don't know what to do. It can either be a trauma response to shut my mouth or a trauma response not to. And sometimes I'm just overwhelmed, and people are not informed on how to handle that. And you can't name it to them, otherwise they start thinking a bunch of other shit instead of just what it is. So you can't explain it, otherwise you risk a bunch of shit, and someone showing up at your house saying, so you have kids and a disability. Well, we'll just take those kids and give them to somebody who doesn't have a disability. That happens to a lot of people. They don't say it to your face, but that's what they're doing.
A lot of people have lost their kids purely because they're disabled. And if you have one disability that is considered mental by most of society, they can tack on a bunch of accusations that have nothing to do with your diagnosis. Psychosis is not involved. But yet that's what happened to me. I don't know. All I know is I need medical care I'm not getting right now because I can't even get it established. I keep on getting denied. We don't